Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to this PRSSA event. Just a couple announcements before we get the event started. I will drop the attendance form in the chat. So if you need attendance, you want recognition for coming, drop that in the chat and we'll have that. And if you have any questions, also drop those in the chat. And I'll be monitoring those while the speaker is presenting and, saying we have a question, or you can wait until she's finished and then unmute yourselves and ask your question then. And now I'm going to introduce my executive board, starting with my vice president.
How you doing, guys? My name's John Fichter, the vice president.
And Sonia.
My name is Sonia Kordovich, and I am the secretary of PRSSA, and I'm a junior with a public relations major with a political science minor.
So it looks like we're waiting on another e-board member, Leah. She will be here shortly. But again, I'm going to drop the attendance in the chat, and I'm going to hand it off to our speaker, Staci.
Hey, everybody. This is super exciting for me. My name is Staci Wittek, and being here today reminds me of all of my time at Oswego. I am an alum. I graduated way back in 1990, and I have my husband and I have so many great memories from our time. I'm a DPhi sister. I don't know if there are any DPhers out there, but I'm a DPhi sister. I met my husband, DJ, who is a Teak brother. We met at a Greek mixer back in 1988. At the Blues. I don't know if the Blues are still a thing, the housing over on the other side of the soccer fields. But we often think about, the Greek tables in the Union and singing at the top of our lungs at Barney's, walking uphill to Sneed Hall, which felt like took forever to get there. I lived in Cayuga Hall and the wind tunnel in front of Seneca and all of the great things that we remember about Oswego. And then, of course, I moved into my fantastic apartment above Buckland's, which I hear is gone, but was right across the street from the Shed, which I'm pretty sure the Shed's still there. Is it? The Shed's still there? The Woodshed? The Woodshed Tavern's gone? Oh, breaks my heart. But we had a great time at Oswego. And so this is my small way of giving back for all of our great times there. And where you are now and the times that we're in now is very much like the unsettling times in the year that I graduated. I graduated in May of 1990, and it was just 3 months before our country went to war and before we started the Gulf War. The economy was incredibly unstable, and I moved from Oswego to Charlotte, North Carolina in search of a career. And while I was waiting tables, I was mailing resumes, because back then we mailed them. I'm mailing resumes to every company across the Charlotte area. I had my degree in communication studies and a minor in sociology, and I was ready to take on the world. But it was hard because there weren't jobs out there, and I didn't know where to start, and I didn't have experience. And I landed my first real job, quote unquote real job, with a company called Baker & Taylor Books. And that was from an ad in the paper. And I started as an event coordinator, which I was organizing corporate attendance at trade shows. And I very quickly got bored with that. And I moved into a position where I was working with the sales team and helping write contracts and business proposals to help them earn new business. And about a year into that role, one of the salespeople that I worked with approached me and he said, "Hey, there's an opportunity at Simon & Schuster for a salesperson. What do you think?" And I was terrified. I thought, a salesperson, like the negative connotations went through my head of car salespeople, and there was lots of travel involved. And I was, 26 years old and, just really starting out, and I was scared, but I was mesmerized by the fact that I could work for Simon & Schuster. I was like, wow, this is like an iconic publisher. This is Simon & Schuster Publishing. And so really, that's how I started my journey in higher education. I now work for Sage Publishing. I've been in higher education academic publishing. So those college textbooks and software that you all purchase, and yes, I know they're expensive. We can talk about it later, but that's what I do. I sell and market and work with authors to make sure that the products that are in your college bookstores and that you're using in your classrooms reflect what's going on in the real world. So during my own journey, I realized a lot about myself, and I hope that some of the things that I share with you today will help you. I really have always believed that education is really the backbone of a strong democratic society. And it's really been 15 years after I graduated Oswego that I started with my current company, with Sage. And their mission just so happens to be that the mission of Sage is the dissemination of knowledge, and that knowledge is the backbone of a strong democratic society. So I'm home, and I feel like I've landed in a place that aligns with my own personal mission, and there's something so powerful about that. And I hope all of you in your own journeys get to experience that, where you're with an organization that you really feel personally aligned with. So I've learned a lot from people over the years, and today I'm going to pass along some of those lessons, some of the good advice and bad advice I've received over the years, and hopefully in sharing these things, it'll help you along your own path. So kick it off into our top 10 tips for navigating your career. My slides don't want to advance. All right. So the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is to just get out there, right? Go to every professional development event, every networking event, every career event, professional conference, every interview. Even for those positions that you're not thrilled about, I still want you to go. You want as much practice as you can get interacting with other professionals and learning about opportunities that you might not even know have existed. So get out there. You'll never know what you're going to find. Y'all are still seeing my screen, correct?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm not, which is interesting. All right. While you're out there, I want you to be memorable, but be memorable in a good way. Be memorable for the right reasons. We're in an era where many people lack the interpersonal skills needed to succeed. Be memorable and make a great first impression. Be polished, be professional. Please make eye contact. Establish a connection with people. Use this time while you're in undergraduate, while you're at the start of your journey, to really establish your own personal brand. Decide what's unique about you and use it to help people remember who you are and what you're all about. As you're out there and you're putting yourself out there in front of people, be prepared. When you're at a professional event, remember that you're always on. Everything you do, everything that you say becomes part of your personal brand. Think of every event you attend as a live interview. Everyone that you meet is a possible job lead. Have a list of questions prepared. You want to ask people who work for companies that you admire, who are in positions that you might one day may be in. While you're in school is the time to start building your own personal network. And speaking of networks, I am sure I am not the first person to tell you the importance of networking, but you need to always be networking and never burn bridges. Our world is getting smaller and smaller. With LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, I'm sorry? Okay. With LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of these different platforms, everyone out there knows someone that you probably know. We're all connected. So make sure you're creating your network with people who you admire. Surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do, who are working where you want to work. who have the skills that you want to acquire. You're part of this great organization in PRSSA. I was part of the NCA chapter at SUNY Oswego before I left. Use the resources provided to find those people that you want to surround yourself with. Never wait for a job posting, because you're going to be reaching out to those people in positions where at companies you seek, the places that you want to be at, so that you have those relationships before that opening's ever even posted. In all your interactions, you want to tell everyone that you're looking for a job. And inevitably, they will then turn around and ask you, well, tell me what you're looking for. Have an answer crafted. Have 1 to 2 lines that very succinctly, but effectively capture exactly what you're looking for. What's your dream job? If you don't know, think about it. It's another opportunity for you to be memorable. Remember that everyone that you meet is a possible job lead. I was waiting tables at a restaurant after graduation. Remember, it was right before the Gulf War. The economy was awful. I was waiting tables, and I met a woman who ran a temp agency. Her name was Mary Ellen. She gave me a temporary part-time job in the administrative headquarters for the Charlotte Hornets. The money was terrible. The job was pretty terrible too. But I used that experience to build my resume and take another step forward in building my network. Be self-aware. This is kind of tough, and sometimes it takes a little bit more experience, but you need to know as much about yourself as you possibly can. Know about your strengths and your weaknesses. Ask everyone in your life for feedback. Surround yourself with people who have the strengths in the areas in which you're weak. Take your blinders off, celebrate your strengths, and work on your weaknesses. Being part of being truly self-aware is understanding where you fit in. And this is somewhere that I've stumbled across the way. I wish I would have understood this much better and much earlier in my career. If you're not familiar with the Big Fish, Little Pond effect by Herbert Marsh, I recommend you read a great book by Malcolm Gladwell. It's published in 2013 called David and Goliath. Understanding the environments and where you thrive is really important, especially when it comes to choosing the place where you're going to live and the place that you're going to work. Will you thrive in a large environment or a smaller one? Really consider your environment and choose to pursue opportunities with organizations that really match your own personal beliefs, that are going to provide you with an environment that you can thrive in. I looked back at my own experience and found that I was very happy with 2 different publishing houses when they were small independent publishers. And over the years, as those publishers grew and became large corporations, less focused on education and more focused on the dollar, I no longer felt like I fit in. I felt more lost, like I didn't really have a voice, like I wasn't making an impact. Having enough self-awareness to know where you fit in can be really fulfilling. We all kind of think about grand moments. You know, when we think about the jobs that we want, we think about the awards and the accolades, like the achievements, right? But we want to take time to respect that process. When you're looking at job opportunities, don't choose a role based on the results. Choose a role based on the daily processes. Results are a culmination of all of the micro work. There's a great little book by Anne Lamont called Bird by Bird. And it starts out with a woman telling a story of her younger brother, and he's sitting at the kitchen table, and the table is chock full of books and pictures of birds all over the place. He's sitting there and he's trying to write a book report. He's overwhelmed by all the information in front of him. To help him feel less overwhelmed and actually get that book report written, she gives him some advice. And she says, just take it bird by bird, buddy. Just take it bird by bird. What this really means is that focusing on the process and not the results is where you need to spend your thoughts. The flashy results for me, like making President's Club and being specialist of the year, I spent all of my time in sales and marketing, striving for those awards, for the title. But what I forgot to do was really look at what was going to happen day to day in those roles that I was aspiring for. When you're looking for a job and when you're in an interview, you want to ask these people, what's a day in a life look like? It's easy to get fixated on the final work, like a great strategy, a memorable ad campaign. But remember, it's all the work that goes on behind the scenes that creates success. So it's about the journey and not the destination. It's behaviors that drive results. So when you get discouraged, when you don't get the job that you thought you needed or that you thought you wanted, when you think you've wasted time, remember that every experience, every success, and every failure is really just a step in your journey. But in the same vein, I want you guys to be curious, right? Don't focus on a particular role or a job title. That's a mistake I made. I focused on a title. And when I finally got what I thought I really wanted, what I thought was my dream job, I really didn't like it. And honestly, I wasn't very good at it either. There is so much out there that we don't know. Learn about companies, their cultures, their beliefs. Talk to their employees. Find out where they spend their money. What charities do they support? What's the role in their local communities? Learn about the industry. What is the competition doing? Who are the past leaders? Who are the up-and-comers? The more you know, the more versatile you become, the better prepared you're going to be. And then there's fewer surprises. Be flexible. This is something I also learned later in life. But if you want a long career and not just jump from job to job, you need to be flexible. You need to be agile and open to change. And most of all, be coachable. It doesn't matter how much success you have, how much experience you have, there is always going to be something new going on in your field. Our fields are ever changing. We need to always be learning, always be looking to new research, new developments, what our competitors are doing, and open to accepting feedback and to understanding all the change that is around us. There is no way I could have stayed relevant in academic publishing over the last 23 years without accepting the growth of digital, understanding new platforms, new areas of research and innovation. Lots has changed in the textbook industry, and I've been in it for 23 years. Always look for ways to learn more. Add to your expertise instead of relying on past success. This is super important. Be agile, be flexible, and always be willing to try something new. And finally, ask for what you want. Don't wait for someone to give you what you want. Don't wait for someone to offer their help. If you want a letter of recommendation, ask for it. If you meet someone who works at your dream company, ask them how they got there. Back when I was a hiring manager, if a candidate didn't ask me for the job, I didn't put them through to the next round. You always want to ask, what else do you need from me to move forward? And then tell them why you want the job and why you're going to be great at it. A great manager once reminded me, everybody knows why we're here. It's okay to say it out loud. I spent 10 years at one publisher and 9 years at a second publisher before I found my home here at Sage. At this moment in my career, I'm with an organization that aligns with my personal mission, but you have to remember that things change and being flexible is super important. And now, even in my 50s, I'm always giving attention to what's going to happen in the next phase of my career. It's a constant process. Enjoy the journey, but realize that there's no permanent destination, just next steps in an always evolving journey. So those are my top tips for all of you as you embark on your career paths. I'm open for any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much, Staci. You have a lot of amazing tips and advice for us, and I hope that, I know that I will, but I hope that the rest of the students will take those moving forward when we're looking for jobs after college or either or even internships before
Sure.
we graduate. Cultivate that network, take advantage of everyone that you meet. Don't burn bridges. All of that is amazing. So if any students have any questions, you can put them in the chat box and I can read them for you, or you can unmute yourself and ask them yourself.
Yep, I'm open to seeing faces as well. It was actually hard to come up with 10 because there are so many things. So I would also encourage you all to fine-tune your writing skills and really work on those interpersonal communication skills. I meet people all the time who can't hold a conversation, and it scares me. Do we have any questions? I don't think we have any questions.
I'll go to get things started.
Thanks, John.
Right there, you mentioned how like people who hold conversation and like are social will excel in this field. I personally think of myself as someone who's like willing to talk to peers and higher ups and whatnot. Do you think anything will be lost with the industry going forward, like as far as being online and people whose personalities may not get to show?
Absolutely. And just so you know, I think that's a great question and something that's so relevant right now. So at Sage, I market and sell our communication studies list. Okay, so anything in speech comm, mass comm, public relations, and journalism. And one of the major things that we notice right now is we already have a generation, the generation before y'all, and I'm in the South, sorry, I just said y'all, and you know, the typical 18 to 24-year-old. It is very difficult for the majority of people your age to walk up, shake hands, and make eye contact. It's so easy for us to hide behind devices, technology, and everything else. But that human interaction that we are losing right now by everything being virtual, this is why I said, hey, come on, come put your cameras on if you can, because what you lose is enormous. If you've ever taken a nonverbal communication course, you know that all of these cues are so important. And it goes back to being memorable. John, what you said, I'll tell you a story about my 20-year-old daughter. I have 2 kids in college and I've been in higher education for 20 something years. So I just decided to stay in college forever, basically. My 20-year-old daughter is in engineering. She's a member of the Society of Women Engineers, goes to her first conference, lucky enough to go in person. She goes to that booth 3 times before she finds the right person to talk to about the small little niche of engineering that she wants to do. She walks down the hall with these 2, it's actually 2 women. They walk down the hall, they have a conversation. At the end of the conversation, she says to them, what do I need to do to get an internship? And they said, you just did it. She didn't even have to have an interview. That was her interview. So every time you have that opportunity to make a connection, put your camera on and make the connection.
Interesting, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, so we have another question in the chat very similar to that one is, do you have any advice on networking in the current state of things with everything being remote?
So I see the chat. Is there more value in having a lengthy resume or being charismatic? I don't see any value in having a lengthy resume, by the way, that I'm seeing that right now. I think this is where your writing skills come in handy. You can say what you got to say in a handful of words. Networking in the current state, I'll tell you another story. I have 2 daughters. My 24-year-old daughter is finishing her master's on December 4th. She will get her master's degree. There's a company that she wants to work for. She went on LinkedIn and she actually found somebody who appeared to have gone through a very similar path and wound up at the company that she's trying to get to. And we talked about it and she thought it was too forward to just reach out to this person. And I don't think it is, but her way, so she went on LinkedIn and she crafted an invite to this woman. She said, look, it looks like we have similar paths. Would you mind talking with me? The woman very frankly wrote back and said, look, I can't help you get the job you're looking for. Not in my area at all, but I'm more than happy to talk to you about the company. Guess what happened after that conversation? They had 15 minutes on the phone. The woman admired the fact that my daughter reached out, even though the woman said, I can't help you. She reached out and she said, you know what, I'm going to try to find a way to help you. I'm going to find out if I know anybody who knows that hiring manager. Reach out, ask for a conversation. Just, you never know what you're going to learn from somebody. You never know what you're going to learn. And people want to help. I mean, granted, I work with educators every day who by nature want to help, which is super nice. And I learn something new every day. But people in general want to help you, and they've all been where you are before.
Thank you. Yeah, LinkedIn, I think, is a huge, everybody's on LinkedIn at this point. And just, I've been told as well, just the simple connection note and just asking, you know, can we have a conversation? I would like to learn more about your company. I'd like to learn more about what you do in that role.
Yes.
So thank you.
Why you're contacting me. When I get a blanket, I'd like to connect with you. That to me is somebody who wants a job at my organization. When I get a note that says, hey, it looks like we've taken similar paths, or I see you've worked here and here, and so have I, and now you're doing something I'm interested in, that's different. I want to help you, but I want you to be genuine about it.
Yeah, like you're not just looking for a job. Like they're not just to get where you are.
Yeah.
So we do have a few more questions in the chat. Can you read them, or would you like me to read them?
Yes, let's see. Back to any advice on networking in the current state of everything remotely. Again, when whoever you talk to, even if they don't have their camera on, I highly recommend you have your camera on. It's just, you just have to have that connection. Lengthy resume or being charismatic and memorable. I don't want a lengthy resume. I want a resume that shows me exactly what you've accomplished and what you want to accomplish. When being upfront with employers, is there such a thing as being too forward or too persistent when trying to get a job? Like anything, you want to have a strategy. You're too persistent if you hit me up every other day after we've had an interview. You're not too persistent if you say to me, what is your timeline? And then you follow up according to that timeline. I did have a woman once who told me that she didn't think it was fair that I didn't put her forward in the process and that she wanted a reason why. And I will say that that rubbed me the wrong way, but I took a step back and I thought about it and I took it as an opportunity, as a coaching opportunity, and I let her know exactly why she was not put forward in the process. I felt like I owed that to her. And at first, even though it hit me a little sideways, she should have worded it differently, but she did deserve that. She did deserve to know why.
So how would you, sorry, just to build on that, how would you recommend going about that? If you get rejected, you don't hear back ever, how would you recommend going about that situation in a not rude way?
Ask for feedback. Whenever in doubt, pose it as a question. Not, I don't think it's fair that you didn't put me through. I'm continuing on my journey. I'm continuing on, my quest for a new role, whatever it is. Can you help me understand? Can you give me some feedback so that I can improve? People want to help. No one wants to feel that they owe you something, right? I'm more than happy to help you, but not, people are happy to help. Let's see, Micah, do you think the job interview will be back to normal in 2021? You're graduating in May, okay. So it's impossible to tell. What I can tell you is that even at my organization, where we have offices in the Watergate building in DC and out in Thousand Oaks, California, right outside of LA, we are not renewing our leases, and will be having more people work from home. We are negotiating smaller office sizes, and this pandemic is going to change things forever. However, we're all learning to adjust, and organizations and companies all over the place are learning how to survive, and that's an opportunity. That means there's going to be more roles, different roles, right? And so stay close to those companies that you like and continue to connect with them. And as you know, when you're getting ready to graduate, I remember what that was like. I didn't know what a country going to war meant for an economy. I didn't realize that everything was going to be on standstill, and it's going to take some time, but interview with anybody who'll give you an interview. Have a conversation with anybody who'll give you a conversation, and apply to everything. My daughter, who's graduating graduate school, is applying to everything and anything, and things are slow. We get that, but hopefully they'll pick up again.
So I know that you and I discussed prior to starting the event that you are a pro at work from home.
I am, yes.
So could you give us a little bit of your tips that you might have for us going into this new world of we're taking classes from home or online, but we might also graduate and get a work from home job. So
yeah, and so for my entire career, I've been remote. I've never, other than my first job at Baker and Taylor, where I was in an office, my entire career has been remote. But I traveled, and I was on college campuses 4 days a week. Really a great gig, right? Because you're getting to talk to people in all these disciplines all the time. And then almost 3 years ago, I moved from sales to marketing, which was a completely different mind shift. And that goes to being flexible and being really agile and open to trying new things. And when I moved to a solely remote, no travel, being at home, it was not at all what I thought it was going to be. You're tied to that desk. You're in front of this camera. You're exhausted. Your eyes hurt. I highly recommend scheduling outside time every day. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it helps. And I'm still 3 years into this. I struggle with this every day. Change locations every now and then. If I don't have to have my second monitors, if I don't have to have my additional monitors, if I'm not cutting and pasting and working on spreadsheets, I'll go sit in my sunroom or go work someplace else. And then I highly, highly, highly recommend you pick up the phone and you talk with your colleagues. Not just chatting or texting or IMing and all that stuff. Have a conversation. It breathes life back into your day. And something that my parents always said was misery loves company. There's something about being part of something. And so when you find other people to truly talk to, it makes things a lot more enjoyable.
I appreciate that, because going into the spring semester, I'm not sure if all the students here have registered yet, but all of my classes are online.
Are they?
Scary. Yeah. Yeah.
How is that working? Is it by instructor? Do the individual instructors choose the method of delivery?
So I believe it's a little bit of both. Some classes, more hands-on classes like scientific labs and stuff, have to be hybrid or in person a little bit, but most classes can be online, and it also depends on the state of how many cases the campus has, if the campus has to shut down, because there was a point the campus shut down for 2 weeks and everyone had to go online because of the cases. Yeah. But I think that they're encouraging, if you can put your course online, then do it.
Yeah. When my own kids went off to college, I asked them to do 3 things. 2 of them they can't really do now, but I said to them, I want you to go to your instructor's office hours and meet them. I want you to go to class. Oh gosh, now I can't even remember what the 3rd thing was. But that meeting of your instructors, even in an online environment, it's crucial. You want your instructors to know who you are. You want them to know you're invested, and you want them to know that you're there to get something out of it. There's too many students that are in school because they're not sure what else to do. And that was just the natural path that was laid out for them. So take control of what you're doing. This is a chance. This is, 4 or 5 years. It's a moment in your life and you want to make the most of it. Instructors will appreciate when you take the time to connect with them. So I would highly recommend you ask for each instructor to have, 5 minutes of FaceTime with them. Be memorable.
Yeah, and now you don't even have to really leave your room.
Yes.
Like join Zoom, and there they are right in front of you.
Join Zoom. Yeah, I will say so many of my colleagues love not having the commute, and I certainly do not miss sitting in an airport. So that is definitely a benefit. We all have more time, I think, to do. I love to be outside, so there's more time to do things like that. But when you're tied to that desk and you're tied to this video camera, it's exhausting, and you're tied to multiple screens. So be kind to yourself. Get outside.
Yes, and with the Oswego winters,
Oh yes, winter's coming, y'all.
maybe stay inside.
Yes. Well, one thing I realized I did not provide that I will send to you after, and you can distribute, is my contact information. So I'll go ahead and send my LinkedIn and all of that good stuff. And I'm happy to talk with anybody who just wants to figure out what your next steps are.
Yes, coming from someone that was an Oswego student, went through the comms program, I know just looking at the list, actually a lot of students here are in the PR program at Oswego. So
the PR program started the year I graduated. It started as a track. When I was in the communication studies program, the only 2 tracks were speech communication and broadcast journalism. And Dr. Brian Betts and Fritz Mercier were over everything there. And it was a great in Lanigan Hall, which I understand you're going to be moving out of Lanigan soon. But I loved my time at Oswego. I was scheduled to be back there this past April. And as soon as we can work it out, I will be back there.
yes, hopefully we will see you again soon in person. We can shake hands.
Yes.
Well, unless anyone else has any questions, we can stop here for now. Thank you so much again for spending.
Thanks for having me. Best of luck to everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.